Here we go. Welcome to another Free Advice Friday. So, one of the things that I have accepted is if I'm going to continue to do Free Advice Friday on the platform here, which it is absolutely my intention to continue doing Free Advice Friday on this platform, I'm going to have to make things a little bit funner. Is funner even a word? So, I've been playing around with OBS software. I don't know if any of you guys are familiar with it. It's open broadcast software. Not that it's going to allow me to do a lot of fancy stuff, but it might allow me to do a few different things. I've also been researching lighting and backdrops and sets. And because right now I'm sitting at my desk. So this is literally just a wall. I mean, if I move my chair, you can see some lovely plugs and networking connections and things of that nature. Not exactly the most fanciest of scenery, to say the least, but definitely looking at ways that I might be able to improve the broadcast going forward. So I'm always on the lookout for stuff like that. So in the meantime, though, let's just hope that the advice that is freely dispensed is enough to keep you coming back for more, enough to keep you wanting more, and we'll go with that. But outside of that, just know that I am always on the lookout for ways that I can improve what is going on, for things that I can do to make the live stream experience a little bit more fun, a little bit more exciting, and we'll go from there. Welcome, Johnny. Welcome, Alton. Thanks for watching, guys. Thanks for being in early. I really have enjoyed doing Free Advice Friday on the platform here. I do think that the YouTube platform is a little bit better for it. And, so far, knock on wood, I haven't got banned from YouTube, which is really nice. So I am happy to report that there are some things in progress in the background on the whole Facebook front. So hopefully we can find a solution for what has been going on with me on Facebook, getting kicked off every other day, it seems like. But I'm back for now. We'll see how long it lasts, but some things are happening in the background, which will hopefully prevent that from happening in the future. So welcome, Jennifer. Happy Friday to you as well. For those of you that are jumping into the broadcast, this is Free Advice Friday. This is the part of the week where I just like to hang out and answer questions. That's it. It's no strings attached. There's no obligation. Not selling you anything here. I'm just hanging out and answering your voiceover questions. I remember what it was like when I was starting to build my voiceover business. And I know the struggles that I went through. I know how frustrating it was sometimes. I know some of the challenges that you face. There's a lot going on when it comes to running a business. And so if I can hang out for a few minutes and I can answer some questions and I can help some people along their journey, I'm absolutely happy to do it, because there were people that did that along the way for me. Hello, Alexis. Hello, Susan. Briscoe VO. Welcome to the broadcast. Thanks for watching. So if you have a question that you would like to get answered, voiceover question that you would like to get answered, by all means, you can type that question into the comments and it will pop up on my screen here, and I'm happy to answer those questions for you. I will tell you, and again, I can say this because we're friends. I've been playing around with open broadcast software, OBS, like I said at the beginning of the broadcast, but one of the things that I've been looking at is, can I figure out a way to bring in a guest? So, for example, let's say that Uncle Roy is watching live on YouTube. Is there a way that I could bring Uncle Roy maybe onto Zoom and then through OBS into YouTube? And so then, Uncle Roy and I are sitting here streaming together. And I'm sure that the technology exists to do all of those things. I'm also confident at this point that I'm not quite smart enough to figure it out. But those are the sorts of things that I've been playing with. Now that we're here, now that YouTube is going to become the permanent home of Free Advice Friday, I am definitely looking for some fun ways to try and make the experience even more cool, and wondering if there's ways that we can upgrade the whole experience. So, just so you know, there are some things, there's some ideas percolating up here. Jennifer says, check out StreamYard. I have looked at StreamYard. I've looked at Restream. I've looked at about 3 or 4 different ones that I've been playing around with. Look, I'll be honest with you. One of the reasons why I like what OBS has got going on is because OBS is free. And at this point, the last thing I need is another paid subscription service or something. But definitely going to be playing around with it anyway, and looking for some options as we move forward. All right, so let's see where we at here. Briscoe VO. Hey, Mark, will you be at MAVO this year? Val and I have talked about MAVO. I absolutely want to come. I would absolutely love to be there. I just have some things to sort out to be able to be there. I've been working on getting a work visa for the US. And so once that visa comes through, then I will absolutely be able to commit. But I am very excited, very, very much hoping that I'm going to be able to speak at MAVO this year. Also, very much hoping that I'm going to be able to participate in One Voice this year in Dallas. Man, I have missed doing conferences. And so looking forward to getting back into the swing of things. So the short answer there is I am hoping that I will be at MAVO this year. I have it blocked out on my calendar. I'm ready to go. You guys have got the best seafood down there. So I want to get down there if for no other reason. Obviously the conference is amazing and I want to hang out with people, but I also definitely want to have some seafood. So fingers crossed, everything works out. And yes, I will be at MAVO this year. All right, let's see. Oh, you know what? Just before I get to the next question, somebody just came home from grandma's house, like literally just came home from grandma's house. I haven't seen her all morning. Oh, she's waving. Say hi, everybody. Hello, everybody. Hello. There's the microphone. You love the microphone. Hey, you love the microphone. What are you doing? Yeah. Did you have fun at grandma's house? Yeah. Did grandma get her car fixed? Yeah. Were you a good girl? Hey. Boop, boop, boop. Yeah. So for those of you that are wondering what is going on right now, this is the part of Free Advice Friday where the boo comes and makes a little bit of an appearance. She always likes to come and say hi to everybody. She gets very excited. See, she's waving. Hi, everybody. Hello, everybody. And this is what most people show up for, to see the boo, see how she's doing. She started her on-camera career when she was newborn, and she has carried forth to this point. Currently still not receiving union rates for her appearances, but she does get lots of treats. All right, now you're gonna dance? Yeah, you get the treats. Yeah, you get the treats. Huh? All right, Kaylee Boo. You going to have a nap now? No. Hey? All right. Daddy's got to go back to work. Can Daddy have a kiss? Oh, you waving bye-bye? Say bye-bye. Bye-bye. Hey, bye-bye. All right, baby. Daddy's got to go back to work. Mwah. All right. See you after, baby. Okay, there you go. There's your appearance by the boo. Now, where were we? Johnny says, how do you feel about a newbie creating social media accounts and connecting with other voice actors, etc.? Should the person get to an adequate place of training and then start connecting? So, Johnny, there's a lot to unpack in your question there. Creating your social media accounts, one of the questions that you have to ask yourself is, what is my intention with my social media accounts? So if you are going to use your social media accounts to network with other voice actors and learn from other voice actors and just, keep an eye on what they're doing and all of that sort of stuff, then, go ahead and connect with other voice actors. If your intention is to use your social media accounts to grow your voiceover network in the form of leads, prospects, and clients, so people who would otherwise be giving you voiceover work or sending voiceover opportunities your way, then you need to be much more strategic in who you are adding into your network. So I think that's one thing that you have to consider. What is my objective for this network? Is it to hang out with other voice actors and learn from them? Or is it to potentially find other voiceover opportunities and promote my voiceover services? And so depending on what your objective is, that's going to depend a lot on how you build your network. And that might be different across the board, right? Twitter might be, and I'm just giving examples here. I'm not specifically saying do this, but let's just say that Twitter is going to be the place where you're going to build a VO community. And that's where you're going to hang out with other voice actors, learn from other voice actors, and spend time with other voice actors. But then let's say on LinkedIn, that's very much where you want to focus on your business. You want to find leads, prospects, clients. You want to talk about your services, promote your services, and try to nurture some relationships to turn into voiceover work. then you've got two different social networks with two distinct strategies, and you're building two distinct sets of audiences there. So I think that's one of the things that you definitely need to take into consideration with social media. What is my end goal for this social media account, and how do I build an audience or a network that is going to get me to that end goal? The second part of your question, getting to an adequate place of training. I mean, before you start putting your business out there, absolutely, you want to make sure that you are adequately trained and ready to go. But can you connect with other voice actors in the meantime to learn from them? Of course you can. But then one caveat I want to add to that, be careful who your teachers are. There are a lot of people on social media, a lot of voice actors on social media who have built large followings and have convinced the world that they are coaches, and many of them are not, but they know how to do internet marketing and they're just trying to sell you something. And so just because somebody has a YouTube channel, says the guy broadcasting live on YouTube right now, just because somebody has a YouTube channel, or just because somebody has, post great videos on TikTok or whatever, it doesn't specifically mean that they are somebody that you should be learning from. It also doesn't mean that they aren't someone you should be learning from. But you have to be very careful who your teachers are, because the other thing you don't want to do is invest a lot of time in consuming content from people who maybe don't have your best interests in mind. You don't want to start reinforcing bad habits while you're in the process of learning. And so that's why I say that you have to be very, very careful who your teachers are. Hopefully that answers your question, Johnny, and great questions to ask as well. Happy Friday, Kurt Hilton. Thanks for watching. Hello, Mark. Hey, welcome, Andrew. Thanks for joining. Crab cakes. Oh, yeah. I am so ready for it. Welcome, Kaz, watching all the way from the UK. Hey, Laura, her hair really is starting to come in, but we still got the whole Doc Brown thing going on there. It's crazy. Her sisters like to tie her hair up in the little pebbles of, for those of you that get the Flintstone reference, they'd like to tie her hair up in those little pebbles ponytails. But Jennifer says this is the best part of Free Advice Friday, of course, referring to the fact that, when Kaylee was on the live stream. That's okay. I can handle it. She is very darn cute. All right, let's see. Alexa says, in your experience, what's your most lucrative form of marketing? My experience specifically, okay, so I'm talking about me and the work that I am doing. There's two things. I think the vast majority of my work has come from email marketing, but LinkedIn has been an incredibly valuable resource on the e-learning side for me. Some of my best, most lucrative e-learning clients have come from LinkedIn. So I think I've got, and that's something. I do have multiple strategies going on, right? I mean, look at me. I'm here on YouTube. I'm on LinkedIn. I'm on Instagram. I'm on Facebook when they let me. I'm on Twitter. I'm doing email marketing. I do some paid advertising for my voiceover business as well. I mean, I'm kind of all over the place, but I would say the easy answer to that question would be email marketing has been how I've built the bulk of my business, and LinkedIn is where I have definitely nurtured the e-learning side of things. And so, I mean, to generalize that answer a little bit, I think where the best place is to invest your marketing efforts does, to a degree, depend on who you're trying to reach. But I also think that it depends on who you are as a marketer. And to clarify that statement, I don't enjoy cold calling at all. There's nothing in me that enjoys cold calling. I don't want to do cold calling. But I know voice actors who have built incredibly successful businesses for themselves just doing cold calling. I recently did a podcast episode with Brian Doucette, and we talked about cold calling, and the results that Brian is getting from cold calling is absolutely ridiculous. And so for him, cold calling has been probably his most lucrative form of marketing, but that's because that works for him as a marketer. That's his marketing style. Whereas for somebody else, it might be in-person networking is where they really thrive, or where they have the best luck, right? For somebody else, it might be doing email. For somebody else, Alexi Kombu, I've had her on the podcast as well, and we've talked about Instagram. Alexia is doing amazing things on Instagram. She's having incredible success on the Instagram platform as a form of marketing. But that's where, for her as a marketer, that platform makes a lot of sense. And so those are the two things that I think come into play. One, who's the audience that I am trying to reach and where is that audience at? And two, who am I as a marketer and what kind of marketing am I most likely to do? I think those are two things that you need to take into consideration. And I'm just throwing a couple of quick links in the chat here, just to reference. I mentioned Brian Doucette. I did a podcast interview with him, How to Succeed at Cold Calling. That's in the chat. And how to step up your Instagram game with Alexi Kambu. I just threw that one in the chat as well. That was another really great interview. But I think those are a couple of things that you definitely want to take into consideration. Let's see. Sean says, woo, almost missed the boo. You got in there just in time. Kaz says, do you edit your own video content? And if so, what do you use? I do edit my own video content, but I will tell you also that my videos are pretty vanilla. And what I mean by that is it's just me standing in front of a camera, in front of a background and talking. There's not a whole lot that's going on in my video. I don't have multiple camera angles. There's not a lot of cuts to different scenes. There's not a lot of visual stuff going on the screen. I'm not like throwing up a whole lot of text and stuff like that. I mean, every once in a while I do something very basic, and the other thing for me too is I'm a perfectionist. So if I'm recording like my YouTube tip videos, for example, those YouTube tip videos are usually 5 or 6 minutes long, right? If I screw up, I just start over, and I'm winging them, by the way. There's no scripts for those. So I'm totally winging every one of those videos as I go. But my videos are pretty basic. But what I do use is Final Cut Pro. I've been using Final Cut Pro on the Mac for years. I'm very, very happy with it. It's very straightforward, very user-friendly. I did start playing around a little bit with Adobe Premiere only because I do have a subscription to it. So I thought, why not give it a shot and play around with it? I did not find it to be anywhere near as intuitive as Final Cut Pro. And so I've basically stuck to using Final Cut Pro. But again, that's if you're on a Mac, Final Cut Pro would work great for you. If you're not on a Mac, I don't know that you can get Final Cut Pro. I don't think it's available for PC. But then there are other options out there. Again, that's where, like Adobe Premiere, for example, might come into play. That might be the one that you ultimately decided to use. And if you are already subscribed to Adobe Creative Cloud, then that makes even more sense for you in order to use that one because, hey, you're already paying for it, so you might as well use it. Good question, though. But yeah, at this point, I do all of my own editing. I'm not saying that's a good thing or a bad thing. I'm just saying because there's not a lot of editing going on, it's pretty easy for me to do. Briscoe VO says, what advice would you give me to get going in automotive? I just threw a link in the chat for that one. If you are going to get into automotive, at the very least, you need to listen to that episode that I did with Cliff Zellman, how to find, book, and succeed in automotive voiceover. Cliff is the king of automotive. There is nobody in this industry who knows more about it. There is nobody in this industry who could guide you better at it. So I would say definitely, if you have the opportunity, listen to that podcast first and foremost. If you ever had the opportunity to learn from Cliff, whether that was at a conference or if you booked some coaching time with him, he's the guy. He's the guy. There's nobody else. I mean, any other genre of voiceover, I could probably list a half a dozen people that would be worth talking to. In automotive, it is absolutely Cliff Zellman, hands down, no question. So I just threw that link into the chat there for you if you want to check that out. Again, just give that episode a listen. And the other thing about that episode is he literally spells it all out for you. Like, honestly, he gives you the keys to the kingdom in there. Johnny says, thanks for the advice. Go Sox. Yeah, the Sox are not, they're going in the wrong direction as where they're going this year. It has been an ugly start to the season. It has been painful, particularly the last 2 weeks because my mom is a hardcore Blue Jays fan. Obviously, we live in Canada, right? I could be at the Sky Dome in an hour and a half. So Rogers Center, whatever. It'll always be the Sky Dome. But anyway, I could be there in an hour and a half to see a game. So my mom is a hardcore Blue Jays fan. So getting whooped by the Blue Jays multiple times in the last 2 weeks has been very, very painful for me. I have not heard the end of it. All right, let's see. Where are we going? Laura says, how long does it take you to make a video from start to finish? For me, it does not take very long, Laura. But again, that's because my videos are so basic, right? I generally have a concept of what I want to talk about. I do not have a script. I go stand in front of the camera. I'm shooting everything on my iPhone, by the way. For those of you that are thinking that you might be interested in video, I'm using this Shure microphone. I can't remember specifically what the model is, but it's a Shure Motive. My only complaint with it is the cable's very short. I did buy a wireless mic that I used for a while, but it crapped out after 2 months. It was one that I bought off Amazon, so I'm back to this thing again. But all my videos are shot again on iPhone with this microphone. Nothing super fancy. And I do have a ring light that I bought off Amazon. I can actually turn this around, and you can see I'm using it right now. There's the ring light, right? I got that was an Amazon Prime Day special. So nothing fancy about the videos, but I go in, if it's a 7-minute video, it probably takes me 7 minutes to record, and then I come out and edit it. Because the opening and the extra of my videos are all basically the same. There's templates in place for me on the editing side, so it makes it fairly straightforward. So, I mean, for me to make a video, it probably takes 20 minutes start to finish. But like I said, I'm not making fancy videos either. Let's see. Good question, though. Kurt says, any new good books for marketing as a VO? Actually, you know what? I just finished reading. Hang on a second. And this is not, I don't read books specific to voiceover. I'm just opening up my Amazon. I'm just opening up my Kindle here on my iPad. I did just finish reading a marketing book last week that I quite enjoyed, and I learned a lot from. It's called The Common Path to Uncommon Success. The Common Path to Uncommon Success. And it is by John Lee Dumas. I know that's backwards for you, but The Common Path to Uncommon Success by John Lee Dumas. It was actually a Kindle daily deal. I think I got it for like $1.99 or something. John Lee Dumas is a podcaster, incredibly successful podcaster. The Entrepreneurs on Fire podcast. I really enjoyed that one. I learned a lot from that one. Definitely some good advice in there. So that's one of the most recent ones that I've read. All right, let's see. Don't mind me. I write down time codes as we go so I can go back and add chapters to the video later. Where are we? Johnny says, I've heard of VO coaches offer one-on-one evaluations for newbie students first starting out, reading various scripts, etc., and developing a roadmap per se. Any personal recommendations to yourself? 100%, I would say talk to Uncle Roy Yokelson. Uncle Roy, who often is part of these Free Advice Friday broadcasts, or like generally likes to hang out and watch Free Advice Friday. Let me just throw a link to his website. Hang on a second. I got to find it. Antland Productions. There we go. There's a link to his website. Johnny, check that out. He was the first coach that I really worked with. I've done a couple of demos with him now. Both of those demos have been award-winning demos, but he definitely will do assessments for voice actors and exactly what you talked about. Get you to do a few different types of reads and try to get a sense of who you are and what might be a good fit for you. So I would definitely encourage you to reach out and have a conversation with him. 2330. Time codes. All right. Alexis says, when email marketing, what subject line do you use to grab the client's attention? I wish that I could tell you that there was one subject line that has been absolutely proven repeatedly to be the subject line. For me, that has not specifically been the case. I am always trying different things. I do think that there are some strategies that come into play with subject lines. I think subject lines that create curiosity can be very good. I think subject lines that play to vanity sometimes can be very good. I think subject lines that just really kind of make you want to know more are very good as well. I've done an episode. I did a podcast on that topic, Alexis. If you want to check out that podcast, it's called How to Write Better Email Subject Lines. You can definitely check that episode out. I think you'll be able to get some good ideas from there. Will says Final Cut Pro Mac only. Yes. All right. So there you go. DaVinci Resolve works on PC in place of Final Cut Pro. DaVinci Resolve is one that actually several people have mentioned to me in the past. I know that it is a very, very powerful video editing software. I believe it is free too. Is that correct? Somebody correct me if I'm wrong, but I know some others have talked to me about DaVinci in the past. Will says Resolve is great. Switch to it exclusively when they first added editing around version 8. It's available for Mac, Windows, and Linux. And yes, it is free. So there you go. You'll notice that I'm cheating on Dr. Pepper today. It was a tragic moment earlier today when I ran out for lunch. I didn't have a lot of time, so I ran out to grab a slice of pizza, and they were sold out of Dr. Pepper, and they did not have any Dr. Pepper in the storeroom either. And so I stood at the counter and wept a little bit, and then took my Pepsi. Which, I mean, I have no issue with Pepsi. It's just that, it's just not Dr. Pepper. That's all. But some of you may question, oh, why is he drinking Pepsi? That's what's going on. It's because they were sold out at the pizza place. Eli says, hey, Mark, I'm moving to Toronto in June from Chicago, and I was wondering if you feel that VO North is worth attending. Yeah, I think VO North is a brilliant conference. It runs a little bit different from some of the other voiceover conferences. So whereas some of the other voiceover conferences, you've got a lot of breakouts. And so there's one person teaching one topic at a time, but you might have like 4 of those sessions going on or whatever. In the past, VO North has tended to be more panel-based discussions on countless different topics. And so there's a ton of really smart people there teaching on a lot of really great topics. And I really enjoy it. I've had the opportunity to speak. I think I've spoke at every VO North that has happened so far. And I really do enjoy it as a conference. I think it would absolutely be worth an investment, especially if you're going to be local. Why not check that out? VOnorth.com, by the way, guys, that's the website for that one. If anybody's thinking about coming to Toronto, it's going to be happening in September. It's actually going on while my birthday is happening this year. Good excuse to come to Canada for a few days. You're not too far of a drive from Niagara Falls. Obviously, there's lots to see and do in Toronto as well. So if you're considering it, I just threw the link into the chat there. VOnorth.com is the website for that one. Let's see. Where are we going? Do you use RX9? No, I am still an RX7 user. In 2019, actually, interestingly enough, Uncle Roy was here. He was in Canada for VO North in 2019, and he stayed at my house one night, and he was looking at my studio and going over some of my equipment, and he's like, you don't have RX. I'm like, no, I don't have RX. Why do I need RX? He's like, yes, you need RX. How can you not have RX? And so he put it on my computer. Actually, if you've seen the image for the podcast episode that I did with Uncle Roy a couple of weeks ago, that image was taken. That was him sitting in my studio installing RX on my computer. So he installed RX7 for me a couple of years ago, and it does everything that I need it to do. So at this point, I haven't had any reason to upgrade. But I do think that if you need a declicker in particular, and I mean, I was using the declicker that was built into Adobe Audition, but it does not even compare to the declicker in RX. So that alone made it worth the investment for me. But yeah, I'm still a 7 user, but I am an RX user. Ellie says it's Ellie. Sorry, I apologize, Ellie. I pronounced that wrong. I said Eli. Forgive me. Thank you for correcting me. I will remember that for next time. Let's see. Where are we going? What else are we talking about? I'm just looking at the chat here. Johnny says, do you find value today in joining the local Chamber of Commerce? I think you will get out of that what you put into it. So that's one of the things. If you're not going to go to the meetings, or if you don't enjoy in-person networking, you're probably not going to get the same value out of the Chamber of Commerce, because a big part of that is the actual networking that takes place. That being said, I would also look at some of the perks that your local Chamber of Commerce may offer. So for example, for me, the local chamber here, you can get a corporate fuel card, which gets you like 10 cents off per liter at the gas pump. I know you guys are like, per liter, what? It's per gallon. I know Canada, United States, I apologize. The point is, you can get a corporate gas card or a corporate fuel card that helps you save on gas, which is great. The chamber here also has a deal worked out with, I forget if it's Purelator or FedEx or UPS, one of the shipping companies anyway, for discount shipping, which is kind of nice. You can also get in on a group health benefits package if you're a member of the Chamber of Commerce. And so there's certainly an advantage to that. And so that's one of the other things that I would encourage you to look at. Obviously, if you're going to join, I think it's worth it if you're going to be a part of the group and if you're going to participate in the networking and the opportunities that are offered. But find out what some of the other perks and benefits are that are offered on the other side of that as well, because some of those may be worth it for you, even outside of the networking benefits. Like for me, I'm at a point now where I may sign up for the Chamber of Commerce here just to get to be a part of the group benefits package, because obviously I'm self-employed, so I don't have benefits. And now that Kaylee's here, and there's a possibility someday that she's going to need to go to doctors and all that sort of stuff, and so it might be worth it to get in on the benefits package. So I would check out some of those other value-added perks that come with being a member of the Chamber of Commerce. Craig says, home studio is all set up. So what order would you suggest next for the following? Coaching, build a website, or get a demo done? So honestly, Craig, I would have done the coaching before I did the home studio. That's just me. But I think that's because you don't put the cart before the horse, right? You don't want to spend a whole lot of money on a home studio if you coach and find out you're not ready or whatever. But from there, I would say coaching 100% comes first. Don't do anything else before you do your coaching, because that's going to give you a pretty good indication of, am I a month away from booking? Am I a year away from booking? You are not going to be doing any marketing or anything until you have your demos. So you don't really need a website at this point. So I would say absolutely invest the money in coaching. As you get closer to being demo ready, you could look into getting a website built at that point, so that once you are demo ready, your website is done. And then you'll have something that you can throw those demos onto so that you're ready to start marketing. But I would definitely make sure that I'm doing the coaching first and not doing anything else until the coach says that you are ready to move forward. Let's see. Jennifer says, I'm also still on RX-7. It works great, so I don't want to mess with it. Yeah, you know what? I don't know. I mean, I am not an expert on this sort of stuff. That's where I wish Uncle Roy was watching today, maybe. But I don't know. For me, there didn't seem to be enough of a value add to upgrade to RX-9 at this point. Like it hasn't been necessary. When the time comes where I have to, maybe they stop supporting 7 or whatever, I absolutely will, though, because in general, I've been incredibly happy with what I've got from my RX plugin. It's been fantastic. Woody says, actually, I am doing editing via RX now on advice from another Facebook user, manually getting rid of clicks and audio books, which is, I know that's one of the options that you can do. Fortunately for me, RX integrates with Adobe Audition, so I literally just click D. Uncle Roy has it set up so that I click D, and then it just automatically declicks my file, which is amazing. Alton says, I'm on RX-8. Uncle Roy told me that the differences between 8 and 9 are not significant. So there you go. Will says, if you're on an M1 Mac, that's a good reason to upgrade to RX-9. Otherwise, there's not really a whole lot of reason for it. And I am not on an M1 Mac at this point, but let me tell you, that Mac Studio, I've been looking at that a lot. Oh, I've been looking at that Mac Studio. My iMac now is probably 3 years old. I think maybe I bought this. I think it's about 3 years old when I got this. And I mean, it's still fantastic. I totally maxed out the specs on it when I purchased it. But man, that studio looks nice with the M1. Oh, I don't know. I'm very intrigued. All right, let's see. Where are we going? Edwin says, hey, Mark, love what you do. How do I pick the best mic for my closet setup? This is a really great question because there are a lot of options that are out there. And the problem with going into a voiceover group and saying, what microphone should I buy? Everybody will tell you what microphone they bought, but that does not answer the question of what microphone should you buy. And the reason why that question in particular is hard to answer is because, one, space makes a huge difference. Different microphones sound differently in different spaces. And two, different microphones suit different voices better. So for example, if you ask voice actors, ask 100 voice actors, what are the top 3 best microphones? Chances are the Sennheiser 416 is going to get mentioned 90% of the time. But that microphone might only be good for 50% of voice actors just because of how it sounds with their voice. So one of the things that I would encourage you with, Edwin, if you have the opportunity, Is there some place close to you where you could rent a couple of microphones? So if you look for a retailer nearby, depending on where you live, that does pro audio equipment rental, for example. So they rent out to churches or theater spaces, or you're throwing a concert and you need to rent a bunch of equipment to throw a concert. Is there somebody that does pro audio equipment rental, and can you go in and could you rent a few different microphones to try out? That way you can bring them home, you can use them in your space, you can hear what they sound like in your space, and you can hear what they sound like on your voice. And so that's definitely one thing that I would take into consideration. I'm going to throw a link in the chat here as well. Edwin, please check this link out. It's home voiceover studio basics with Uncle Roy. You've heard me talking about Uncle Roy in this broadcast. Uncle Roy talks a lot about microphones and gives some of his recommendations for microphones starting out. And part of the premise of that episode was meant for newer voice actors, right? It's not telling you to go out and buy a Neumann U87 because that's not realistic for a lot of new voice actors to be able to do. So talking about some microphones, it would be a good starting point. So check out that episode. I think that'll give you some good references as well. And chances are you probably don't have to spend as much money as you thought, although I do always recommend an XLR mic over a USB mic. Ella says, I just finished chapter 6 of the marketing playbook. So good. I have a professional commercial demo. However, the few jobs I have done have been hired for have been e-learning, which I enjoy. Can you recommend a coach or producer who I can work with to create a professional e-learning demo? Ella, I am a huge fan of Ann Ganguza. Ann did my e-learning demo. I coached with Ann for my e-learning. I think that she is one of the best that there is when it comes to that genre of voiceover work. So I have no qualms at all about recommending her. I'm just going to throw this link in the chat there for you, Ella. Check that out. Ann Ganguza. You can book a 15-minute consultation, a free 15-minute consultation with her to have a conversation with her. But I would say absolutely she is somebody who is amazing in that space. J. Michael Collins can produce an incredible e-learning demo for you as well. Julie Williams is another name that gets mentioned and tossed around in the space every once in a while. So any of those would be good. But I can tell you from experience, having personally worked with Ann and coached with Ann and done a demo with Ann, she's definitely one of the best that there is. All right, let's see. Woody says, I've had a couple of good leads from Chamber of Commerce meetings. See if you can partner with them to do some of their work. Also use the directory to find businesses. And that is one of the big advantages to the Chamber of Commerce. Although you don't specifically have to be a member. Usually you don't have to be a member of the Chamber of Commerce to get access to the business directory. For a lot of chambers, one of the perks of being a member is getting listed in the business directory, and then that business directory often gets promoted online. And so it's definitely a source for leads. 100%. Let's see. Where else are we going? Briscoe says, I built my first studio because I wanted to really force myself to commit to beginning my voiceover career. And that makes sense. Sometimes you just need that little psychological push. Absolutely. I think the Mac Studio and the new Mac Studio display would last you for 6 years in VO. Yeah, you know what? My iMacs, I'm on about a 5-year replacement cycle for my iMacs, and that's not specifically because I need to upgrade every 5 years. Part of it is just because I need tax write-offs, and so I make capital upgrades on my equipment every 5 years or so. The Mac Studio, I don't know. I watched the Apple keynote when they released that, and I was really impressed with it. Although I don't know that I would get the Studio display. I felt like that was maybe a little bit overkill, but definitely a big fan of the Mac Studio. One of the things that's always drove me nuts, this is going to sound so ridiculous, right? Like we're talking total first world problems here right now, but so I'm on an iMac right now, a 27-inch iMac right now. And I actually have a monitor over here and a monitor over here. So I have 24-inch monitors on either side of my iMac. And it's always drove me nuts that it's not symmetrical. And I know that's such a stupid thing. I mean, the two monitors make it symmetrical so that there's one on each side, but there's not like this clean line at the top and the bottom. It's so stupid. I can't help it. It's OCD. But that's why I was like, okay, so if I got the Mac Studio and then got a couple of nice, really big widescreen monitors, for example, at least everything would look the same now. what I'm like, even as I say it out loud, I'm like, do you have any idea how ridiculous you sound? No, I'm fully aware of how ridiculous I sound, but I'm sure that there are some of you that are listening right now that would totally understand that as well. All right, let's see. So, for those of you that are jumping in, it's great to see so many people watching right now. This is Free Advice Friday. This is the part of the week where I like to come live on my YouTube channel and answer your voiceover business and marketing questions absolutely for free. This is a feature that used to happen exclusively in the VOpreneur Facebook community. But since I started having some problems with Facebook and they kept kicking me out of my group and preventing me from using my group, we came to YouTube a few weeks ago to make sure that Free Advice Friday could always carry on. So that is what is going on right now. Free Advice Friday. If you have a question that you would like to get answered, a voiceover business and marketing question, type it into the comments. It will pop up on my screen, and I'm happy to answer any questions that you have. Let me just quickly scroll through the chat. There's a lot of conversation going on today. I want to make sure that I'm not missing anything. And if I have missed your question, I apologize, and don't be afraid to retype it so I can see it. I don't want to miss it. Just quickly scrolling through. I don't see anything that I've missed, which is good. Make sure you check out the latest episode of the podcast, by the way. It's called Facebook Jail and the Importance of Diversification. And it's some lessons that I have learned after spending the vast majority of July being kicked out of my Facebook group. I could still use Facebook Messenger. I could still use my Facebook page. I could still advertise on Facebook. Of course, they want my money. But they kept banning me from posting in groups without explanation. So because I spent a lot of time in April, most of April, unable to post in the Facebook group, I learned some lessons about the importance of diversifying yourself. And so I share some of those lessons in the latest episode of the podcast, talking about the importance of diversifying your marketing, diversifying your social media, diversifying your clients so that you don't have too many eggs in one basket. So check that episode of the podcast out if you haven't done it already. The Everyday VOpreneur podcast, of course, available wherever fine podcasts are given away for free or online at VOpreneur.com. I just threw that link in the chat there as well. So what else you guys want to talk about? What else can I help you with for Free Advice Friday? I can still hang around for a few minutes. I talked earlier about the fact that I'm looking into some options for sprucing up Free Advice Friday a little bit. Maybe making it a little more visually appealing. Maybe I got to go to IKEA this weekend and I got to build a set. It's funny, actually. I think I can show you guys this. So if you look over here, this whole space was built into my office. That's this is really confusing. That's my booth right there. But this whole space, and if you look up, there's actually an outlet on the ceiling, and there's a panel up there as well. So that little space was built. Oops, sorry guys. I bumped my mic. There's a little button on the bottom of here. What I was saying was that space that I was just showing you, it was intentionally built for doing my video. I built that little corner in the booth so that I would have a nice little spot to shoot my YouTube videos. The outlet was put in the ceiling so that I could hang studio lights. Nice little quiet corner, but I've never done anything with it. It's just sat empty for the last 4 years. So now that I'm doing some more streaming and stuff like that, it might be time to actually build that space out. So I might have to be looking for some studio lights, and I said I might have to go to IKEA and find a stool or find a little table or something, get a pretty picture to hang up on the wall, or I don't know, something. But that might be one of my projects now to get going, so we can have a little bit fancier setup here for these YouTube broadcasts, because I know this wall behind me is not very exciting. I got some holes in the drywall to patch because I took something down from the wall. I do have lobster lights. Hey, there's Uncle Roy. We were talking about you earlier, Uncle Roy. We were having a lot of conversations about you, and I sent some people to your website, and we talked about the episode of the podcast he did. So there you go, guys. Uncle Roy's in the broadcast now, and he's watching. For those of you that I mentioned that he's somebody that you want to talk to, there you go. He's in the live stream now. What else do you guys want to talk about? What else can I help you with? What other questions can I answer for you on Free Advice Friday? If you've got a question that you would like to ask, type it into the comments. It will pop up on my screen. I will do my best not to touch my microphone. What else? Oh, I've also been looking at video switchers. I've been looking at getting a couple extra cameras. I got all kinds of ideas. I just don't know if I'm going to actually follow through with any of it, but we could really make this into something. It could be like a regular weekly television show, not just a cheesy little YouTube live stream. All right. Let me write this down. Briscoe says, what would be your favorite area of VO and what do you feel is your best area? I think I definitely do the most in e-learning. And that wasn't originally my intention. It just kind of happened that way. But what I really do genuinely love about e-learning is that I feel like I'm always learning something new. And I think that I am a guy that as I've gotten older, I'm constantly reading books to learn. I don't even watch scripted television anymore. I mean, I primarily watch documentaries because I'm always looking to learn something new. And so I think that e-learning and doing e-learning narration has become an extension of that. Every time I get a module, I feel like I'm learning something interesting on some other different topic, which I've always really enjoyed. That being said, I am a big fan of explainer videos because I think they're fun. I love 90 seconds in and out, which is really great as well. The dream genre is documentary, and that's what I'm working towards now. I've done one job for a documentary producer. I actually did a teaser trailer for the documentary itself, but that's the next area that I'm moving into. So I can't say that it's my favorite area yet because I haven't got to do it, but I think when the opportunity does finally come, that is probably going to become my favorite area. Rich says you got to put a Red Sox logo on the wall behind you. Actually, I've been looking at getting my wife to make up a big copy of the VOpreneur logo and putting that on the wall behind me. So that could happen. Johnny says, Uncle Roy, I'll be reaching out to you to do an evaluation. Looking forward to it. Do I have to wear shoes? There you go. Uncle Roy, Johnny, you guys can connect. We were talking earlier. Will says, dive whole hog into the Black Magic ecosystem. Yeah, that's a dangerous place, man. It's interesting. I was reading Forbes magazine earlier this week because I'm that guy that reads Forbes magazine. And I saw there was an advertisement for Black Magic for their switchers. And I was like, ooh, those look fun. And so that's a dangerous place, man. You could dive into that ecosystem and spend a whole lot of money. Woo, baby. I don't know if I'm ready for that yet, but all right, where are we going? Paul says, oh, sorry, writing down a number. Paul says, what thoughts do you have about union membership, especially for someone entering VO as a longtime SAG-AFTRA and equity member? I think a lot of it depends on the type of work that you're going to do. I mean, for me, at this point in my career, it would make no sense for me to be in the union because the vast majority of the work that I do is non-union and it's like corporate e-learning, non-broadcast. And so it doesn't make any sense for me to go union. That being said, if you are looking to do commercial or that's where your primary focus is going to be, or if you're looking to get into, A-list animation, or if you want to do a lot of AAA video games or something like that, then getting into the union might be the next logical step. So I think part of it depends on that. I think it depends on what areas of voiceover you're doing and where you're intending to go. And it doesn't mean you got to join right away, right? But that might be the end goal, or one of the end goals is to ultimately get into the union. All right, where are we going? Briscoe VO says, P2Ps, are there any that you actually recommend? I think Bidalgo is legit. I'm a big fan of Bidalgo. And let's just preface this by saying I am not currently an active paying member on any casting site, nor have I been an active paying member on any casting site for several years now. But if I was going to sign up for a casting site right now, the first one that I would probably look at is Bidalgo. And a lot of that has to do with Armin himself. Armin is the guy behind Bidalgo. I have so much respect for that man as an entrepreneur, as a business owner, in the way that he treats the industry as well. He has worked very hard to create a fair balance between the needs of the voice buyer and the needs of the voice talent, and really working hard to make the playing field level and fair on both sides of that equation, which I have a lot of respect for. With Bidalgo, you are not going to see a ton of jobs. Like, you're not going to see the volume that you might see on some other sites, but you are going to see better quality jobs, and you're going to see better quality rates. What goes along with that, though, is you are also going to see better quality talent, which means that there's a higher level of competition on Bidalgo. But definitely, I think it's a legitimate site. I think it's one that's worth looking at. I would say after that, I would probably consider Voice 123. The trick with Voice 123 is that if you are going to succeed on that site, you have to learn how to use the algorithm. Voice 123 does not work like other casting sites. If you just sign up for a membership and just start submitting auditions all day long, you are going to really, really negatively impact your likelihood of succeeding on the site. You have to learn how to play with the algorithm. So if you can do that, and there are ways that you can learn that algorithm, Natasha and Catherine, the V123 pros, they teach a course on how to use the Voice 123 algorithm. If you were going to sign up for the site, I would absolutely recommend that you take that course. With Voice 123, you are definitely going to see a lot more audition opportunities, but you're also going to see a wider spectrum of quality, right? So I'm talking about everything from very fair rates to very not fair rates. There's a lot of they cover the spectrum on Voice 123. So that's something else to take into consideration. But those would probably be the ones that I would look at. Let's see, Mark, when is the next opportunity for Playbook? Playbook is going to be out in September. I don't remember the dates. Hang on a second. September 6th, Playbook is coming out again. September 6th. 129 days, 18 hours, 7 minutes, and 20 seconds. There's a countdown on the website at voiceovermarketingplaybook.com. Will says dangerous, but way more cost-effective than other manufacturers. Being affordable is in their DNA. You know what? I am such a sucker for buttons. I worked in television in the late 90s, and I remember going into the television studio and sitting in front of a switcher that was the size of a desk, and pushing all of the buttons and turning all of the knobs. And when I was working as an editor, and it just makes me long for give me buttons and blinky lights, and I'm sunk, man. Buttons and blinky lights. I lose all self-control because I'm like a kid in a candy store when you put me in front of that stuff. Armin may be singing at the VOBBQ, so he says. There you go. That might be your chance to meet Armin. Ask him questions. Andrew says, lots of truth to that. I was far too eager when I started Voice 123, and I absolutely crashed my momentum. And that's the thing. When you get into the basement on Voice 123, it's really hard to get back out of the basement. It is really hard. And so you have to be careful. You have to educate yourself. You have to make sure that you are using that site right out of the gate. Otherwise, it is going to be tough for you. With the new playbook, will the new playbook have new material? Is it a new version? A couple of the videos were updated in April. So with this current release, so A lot of the information still stands true because the overall principles of marketing don't change, right? But where there are changes or when there are changes necessary, I do updates. So a couple of the videos were updated in April on the social media side. I've which ones did I update? I updated the main social media video, and I want to say I updated the LinkedIn video. I'm trying to remember now. And I have updates in the works on a couple of the other social media videos. But one of the things with Playbook is when you sign up for the course, you will get access to the updates. So, I mean, even if you signed up in April of 2021, you can log in today and watch the updated content. So, when the course gets updated, you will always get access to the updates. But at this point, I don't have any plans for a full blown overhaul because it's not warranted. There's not enough that's changed to fully overhaul the whole thing. So right now it's more of a maintenance mode, just keeping it updated as I go. I did update one of the videos before the January release. And like I said, I updated a couple of videos before the April release. I got a couple more updates in the works as well. Shania says, does your playbook cover any recommendations for part-time VO marketing? What Playbook teaches is marketing, period. Marketing doesn't change whether you're part-time or full-time. All that changes is the amount of time that you have to give to it. That's it. But the principles of the marketing don't change. And so you can take anything that you learn in the course and you can apply it an hour a day or 8 hours a day, depending on what your availability is, right? And that's part of what I do when I'm working with voice actors as well, and particularly in coaching sessions, is trying to help them where they're at, right? Because I get it. Not everybody's in the same place. I used to be a full-time employee with voiceover on the side, right? And I built it into a full-time business. And so I know what it's like to make that transition. I know what it's like to have a limited amount of hours in the day or a limited amount of availability. And so that's part of what I teach voice actors as well. But the playbook itself is just strictly marketing strategy. And then you can just apply that based on how many hours a day or a week that you've got to give. What else, guys? I can hang around for a couple more minutes. If you've got any questions, I'm happy to answer those questions for you. Type them into the comments. They'll pop up on my screen. I was going to mention Free Advice Friday. I don't know if I'm going to be able to do this next week. We'll see. I have family visiting from out of province, and I am responsible for making dinner. So I will probably have the smoker going. And so I don't know whether or not I'm going to be able to do Free Advice Friday next week or not. We'll see. If I can, I will post it ahead of time to let you know. Marissa says, do you have a favorite marketing email subject line right now? I'm constantly A/B testing different ones. We talked about this earlier in the broadcast, Marissa. And the one thing I said was I like to play around with vanity. So what I mean by that is subject lines that speak to, when I say speak to a person's vanity, it sounds really bad, but subject lines that offer something complimentary, right? Something complimentary to the recipient. Let's describe it that way. And also subject lines that create curiosity. So subject lines that make them want to know more, so then they want to click through. So those are a couple of the strategies that I've been playing with. So those aren't specifically, they're not specific subject lines as far as worded subject lines, but they are some strategies that you could definitely play around with a little bit. Will says, Smoker Side Free Advice Friday. Can talk about barbecue instead of VO. We could. I'm going to be doing a brisket tomorrow, which I'm very much looking forward to. I did some ribs last weekend. Did 2 racks of beef short ribs and a couple of racks of pork spare ribs, and had those going on an all-day smoke, which was nice. Nikki says, hey, Mark, thank you for all that you do. I'm glad to hear you're out of Facebook jail. There's a part of me that feels like we need to place wagers on how long I'm going to stay out of Facebook jail. This last stretch was the longest. I was a week. I was out a week before they put me back in again. So we'll see how long it goes this time. I feel like I'm just going to get caught in this stinking cycle where they keep throwing me back in for no apparent reason. But Epic Bros, who would be a couple of your top coach recommendations for commercial voiceover work. I coached with Uncle Roy for commercial. I think J. Michael Collins is a brilliant coach in the commercial space. And I think Dave Walsh would be really good in the commercial space. Everett Oliver would be another one. So let me just commercial coaches. I'm just going to type these in there so you can have them for reference. Oliver, Dave, Walsh, Uncle Roy. I think any of those would be good. Nancy Wolfson's name just put into the chat there. Nancy is another brilliant option. Marilyn Wisner would be another really good option. I'm having a brain fart. Hold on a second. Tina Marasco is another one that's brilliant in the commercial space, although very, very, very hard to get into, which is one of the challenges. So there's a few different options that are out there for sure. Nikki says, I've watched many of your videos. Oh, sorry. I just want to write down that number. Nikki says, I've watched many of your videos that talk about finding your niche. I'm interested in getting into toys. Do you have any info on who or where to start with on that journey? Funny story, Nikki. So I actually work with a couple of voice actors who want to be involved in the toy space, and they're in my mastermind group. And one of the things that I found myself doing now that we have a baby, since Kaylee came along, is I've been paying attention to a lot of the toy manufacturers, because almost every toy that she has some sort of audio to it. It makes noises, or it talks, or it sings, or whatever. And so I was actually writing down manufacturers of the toys that we have and sending them to the people in my mastermind that are working in that space or wanting to work in that space, and saying, hey, why don't you look and see if you can find a contact here? Hey, why don't you look and see a contact here? So one of the things that you might want to try doing is heading into a Toys R Us, a Babies R Us, a Walmart, a Target, wherever you find toys, and just walking through the aisles and taking a look at some of the manufacturers. That might be an option for you. All right, let's see. Where are we at? Oh, we're after 2:00, and I got to go because I got to get ready for another session. But I do thank you guys for hanging out. As always, thank you for joining Free Advice Friday. Again, I'm not 100% sure if I'm going to be able to do it next week, but if it does work out, I will post it ahead of time so that you know. If you haven't done it already, please subscribe to the YouTube channel. Click the bell icon so you'll get notifications. I do try to schedule Free Advice Fridays ahead of time on the YouTube channel so you can set up to get a reminder, so you never have to miss one. But generally speaking, I try to do them Friday afternoons around 1 o'clock Eastern. Always looking forward to the opportunity to hang out, give you guys a chance to ask questions, get some answers as well. But please subscribe to the YouTube channel. Check out the voiceover tips playlist on my YouTube channel. There's well over 200 videos there, all voiceover business and marketing tips. Check out the podcast as well at VOpreneur.com or wherever fine podcasts are given away for free. It's the Everyday VOpreneur podcast with Marc Scott, all focused on the business and marketing side of voiceover as well. Thanks again, guys, for hanging out. Thanks for watching. Hope you've enjoyed it. Hope you've learned a few things as well. Whatever you decide to do this weekend, have fun, stay safe, and as always, go find some leads.